This first little bit, Michelle, I'm going to go ahead and mute your audio just so that
Sure.
I can see my little preset, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. So. All right, everybody. Those of you that are with us live, welcome to edition 1, episode 1, version 1, instance 1. Let's see if I can come up with another one. App 1. No, that doesn't work. The first of the Wunntee Weeklies. I am your host, Brett Martineau, and I am thrilled to be here, joined by some of my colleagues in the Infusionsoft space and all of you that are going to be watching either now or in the replay. I'm excited about this. I want to just do a little bit of background and explain again why I'm doing this, what the point is, what I'm hoping to get out of it, what I'm hoping you get out of it, and then we're going to dive right in. I've got some cool stuff that I want to talk about, and then I'm sure there's going to be some questions that need answering, so we're going to do that. First of all, I just want to reiterate, this to me is an important thing that I think needs to be available to both users and consultants in the Infusionsoft space, mostly because there isn't anything like this that's available to the public. There are some people that are providing this type of thing to their customers, but it's not as available to the public as I would like. And I think I was talking with Michelle and Danielle about this before we started the live broadcast, and I'm excited because I think this is going to create a more widespread community and sort of forum for discussion about Infusionsoft and about services that can be provided by different people and questions that people need answering and different things like that. So I'm super excited about that prospect of just creating this open forum for us to talk about issues in Infusionsoft, get questions answered, and get some training and teaching done. I'm really excited in the future we're definitely going to be having guests on. We'll get other experts in particular fields on that we can talk about different things and turn it into something that could be pretty educational for people. So I'm excited about that. The other thing that I think is going to be awesome about this is the more we get people on, the more I think that our collective services will be put to good use in the community. There are things that I'm really good at that other people may not be as good at, and so we can do deals and work together. There's things that I'm not that good at that other people are great at. We can have them on the podcast and really get, have everybody really understand who's the expert at what and who can help with what, and then we'll come up with some cool collaborative projects and things like that, which I'm super excited about. So as far as housekeeping goes, we're going to probably use Google Hangouts for the first few of these. I really like Google Hangouts because it records them and we can go live and I don't have to do much work. It's just easier to do it that way. The one thing that I don't know about it is how long we'll be able to do that in terms of, like, once we have a lot of people joining. I don't know if it's gonna cause problems in the long run to have too many people trying to join the Hangout. So the nice thing about this is the live stream viewing link is going to be available to the public, to the general public. So anybody who wants to jump on that is going to be more than welcome to do so. But as far as actually getting on and having questions answered and interacting with us, that's going to be limited to the people that are actually registered and jump through the hoops that I requested that you jump through earlier. So as far as format for this, for these calls, or for the webinar call, join-in thing, whatever you want to call it, we'll start off with a little bit of intros. Anybody who's on the call will go around perhaps and talk about people that are there. We'll get started. There usually will be a topic for the call that I'll be choosing because I have that power. I'll spend a little bit of time at the beginning of each call going through the topic, kind of talking high-level strategy about certain things, and then I actually, in each one of these calls, I want to dive in and actually open up Infusionsoft, show you some things, show you different ways to get at how to solve the problem of the day or whatever. And then we'll go through that, and then I'll open it up for questions. You're welcome to send in questions at any time. I'll put up, well, you can just tweet at me at BrettWordJames. Questions. You can also send them to my email address, brett@wunntee.com. That's BRET@WUNNTEE.com. And I realize at some point I'm gonna have to tell the story behind Wunntee, which I will maybe a little bit later today. And then I'll open it up for questions, and we'll go through and just answer as many questions as we have. If it gets crazy and these calls start lasting 8 and 9 hours, we might have to cut some of the questions, and we might I might save them for the next week. We might have to do that. But I don't anticipate that happening anytime soon. So um, that is how we're going to be running those things. One last thing that I'll say as far as housekeeping goes is I have a tendency to be very informal. So if you're the type of person that's going to get a little bit upset at uh, informality, so to speak, uh, you might want to brace yourself because I like things to be honest. I like things to be free flowing. I like ideas to kind of come, and there may be some days when it seems like things are just happening willy nilly, and that's just because it's organic. It's just sort of we're having a conversation and we get caught up on this other topic and we go on these tangents. And I think those types of organic conversations are more beneficial to people. They're more beneficial to me anyway. And so I don't want to keep that from happening. I don't want to cause anybody to feel like, oh, we have to stay on track, or we can't say that, or this isn't the place for that. Like, this is the place. Anything that needs to be said. If you got gripes with Infusionsoft, let's talk about them. I told Clayt Mask to his face a week ago, you will not find a bigger critic of Infusionsoft than me, but you also won't find a bigger champion of Infusionsoft than me, right? And it's true. I stand by that. I have no problem telling anybody to their face the problems that I have with Infusionsoft. Now, I'm also not about just creating drama for no reason. So it's not like, oh, this is going to be the thing where everybody comes to rag on Infusionsoft. It's more like, let's be positive, let's be productive, let's figure out ways around the little quirks that Infusionsoft has and figure out ways to actually make business work. So, okay, so that's kind of the rant at the beginning. There are probably some things that I missed that we'll come back around to, but I want to get to it, get to some good content, and then we'll circle back around and open up for questions. So the stuff that I wanted to talk about today is there's two things, kind of general things that I want to talk about, and then we'll kind of see where the conversation goes from there. The first is a very general topic about emails and deliverability and things like that. So I have a presentation that I actually used to do at the Frank Kern events that I just want to cycle through. I have slides, so I'm going to use them because they're there. You might as well. And then I want to get into Infusionsoft, and I want to start at the very, very ground level and talk super, super basic, and talk about some of the strategies around tagging and setting things up and making sure that you have things organized correctly, so that in the long term your Infusionsoft account is set up correctly. And then we'll go into questions from there. So let me see if I can figure this thing out here. Let's turn on my screen share. Okay. Oh, hello. Okay, and then let's go over to my little keynote action. All right. So I'm hoping this is working. Let's hide this guy. Oh no, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay. So what we're going at here is I want to explain to you how an email is actually delivered, and this is sort of technical. There may be, I'll be honest, there may be some technical inconsistencies here. This might not be entirely like specifically accurate, but the point that I'm making with this presentation is correct. Okay. So this is something that's pretty important, I think, for you guys to understand. This is the process that these are all the steps that have to happen between you coming up with an email to send and your customer actually getting it in their inbox or reading it. Okay. The inbox, like their Gmail inbox or their Yahoo inbox or whatever. And it's more steps than you might think. And I think the thing that will be the most surprising to you, unless you've seen something like this before, which some of you may have, Jordan Hatch did a blog post, which was essentially the inspiration for this presentation. So you may have seen that blog post and actually read this already. But this is kind of like a graphical display of it. And it's me talking, which I'm excited about because I love talking. So the first thing that has to happen is you actually write the email. Okay, that's the first thing. Now, a lot of people will sort of skim past this, but I cannot emphasize enough that this is the most important part of this whole process. There's like 12 steps. It's like a 12-step program. I can't pass up easy jokes. The first step is you have to actually create the email, and even more important than just creating emails, you have to create good emails. I've told people time and time again, every single presentation I've ever done about anything, I've always said the single most important factor in email deliverability is the content. Because no matter what else is going on, no matter what else is going on, if you write good emails, people will read them. People will find them. right? People will look through their promotions tab. They'll look through their junk mail tab to find the emails that you write if they're well written. And I can attest to this because I'm on about 1,000 lists, and some of those lists that I'm on like 12 times because I used to do testing for a lot of different people, and so my email address is in there like 100 times. So I'll get the same email over and over again. But the people that I enjoy reading, I will go find those emails and I'll read them because I enjoy reading them, right? Precious water. Okay. So again, step 1, create the email and do a good job of it. Step 2 is you stick the content into Infusionsoft and then you hit send, right? You do the contact search and you do all this stuff and then you hit send. All right. So these are the first 2 steps. This is really where Infusionsoft is involved, and that's sort of what happens. Now, step 3 is where Infusionsoft basically, just imagine somebody someone walks up to a door and they knock on it, right? And then the person on the inside opens up like a little peephole or whatever, like one of those sliding things on like prison doors that you see in the movies. And they sort of talk back and forth. So this is kind of like a demonstration of that conversation. So Infusionsoft knocks on the door, then the receiving server, be it Google or Yahoo or whoever, looks through the peephole and says, "Hey, do I hate you? Are you blacklisted, Infusionsoft?" Like they're asking Infusionsoft, "Are you blacklisted?" They look on their little checklist, and they say, "Oh, Infusionsoft, sorry, you're blacklisted." So the email gets rejected. If Infusionsoft is not blacklisted, meaning they're whitelisted or they're just not blacklisted, then the receiving server, Google, opens the door, takes the email from Infusionsoft, and says, "All right, great, I've got it from here." All right. The important thing to understand is that steps 1 through 3, up until this point right here, where Infusionsoft hands over the email, that's the only part that Infusionsoft has any control over. Okay. So, and that's not just Infusionsoft, any email delivery service, whether it be ActiveCampaign or SurveyMonkey or what's the one I'm looking for? Constant Contact, Aweber, any of these services, they only have control over the deliverability of your email to this point. Okay. So it's essentially, and Infusionsoft has a whole team dedicated just to whitelisting their servers with email receiving servers, right? So they're doing their job as far as that's concerned. All right. So more that will kind of come full circle in a second. So now, once the email has been received by the receiving server, most servers, I know this is true for Google, and I'm pretty sure it's true for Yahoo, and I would expect this is true for any of the major email servers. There's a server-wide spam filter. So they have their own set of criteria, and it's based on the entire population of people using that server, but they have a series of spam filters based on who's marked what as spam and different things like that, that marks the email as spam before it even gets to the recipient's inbox, right? So there's a server-wide spam filter. That's the first thing that happens. Now, the server also, in most cases, I don't think this is as common, but in most cases, there's also an engagement filter, which basically is they're looking to see, are people opening your emails? Are they forwarding your emails? Are they deleting your emails? Are they archiving your email? Like, what are they doing with your emails? Then they track all that information, and it's based on the domain that you're sending from, and even down to the actual alias that you're sending from. They want to know, do people care about the emails that you're sending? Okay, so that's the second filter that goes through. Now, as is probably pretty obvious to you, the thing that controls this is whether or not your recipients are opening your emails. Okay, so again, back to my first point, if the people you're sending emails to are opening them and then deleting them because it's not good content, or they're opening them and then trashing them, or they're not forwarding them or whatever, your emails have they're less likely to get past this filter because people aren't actually reading them. Okay, so it's important that you're writing content that people want and they're going to read. All right, so step 6. Now that we've made it past the server level filters, spam filter and engagement filter, now we get moved down to the recipient's mailbox. Okay, so this is their individual, their unique mailbox. Now, this isn't the inbox. This includes all the folders in their mailbox. Inbox, sent, all mail if you're in Gmail, archived, spam, all these different things. Okay, so once we get into the inbox, now the recipient has the server has recipient level spam filters. In other words, for Gmail, based on your individual use of Gmail, what you specifically are marking as spam or whatever, the server will route emails differently. Okay, so not only are we talking about how everybody acts on the whole server, but also how you specifically act. So this one person, if they're always getting sent to spam, they're always sending your stuff to spam, it's going to be like, oh, this person, Johnny Two Shoes, doesn't like the email sent by joe@schmo.com. So we're going to just start sending joe@schmo.com's emails into either updates or into spam. Like, we're just going to do that because that's where it ends up going everywhere. Like, it learns. Okay. Same thing. Like I said before, this is controlled by what the recipient does, not by what Infusionsoft does, not by what Google does, not by what you do. This is controlled by whether or not the person is reading the emails and what they're doing with the emails. Okay. Now, there's also filter rules, right? So in Gmail, you've got updates and social and promotions and what's the last one? Whatever the last one is, I forget. I never look there, so I don't know. It's like group emails or whatever. I'm trying to think of the word. There's also other filters that they set up themselves. So like, I want to tag all of the emails that come from this person as a certain thing, and I want to tag all of the emails from this person as a certain thing, right? So those are filter rules that could keep an email outside of the inbox. Again, the recipients who sets this up. This is a little bit untrue in terms of like the Google updates tabs and all that kind of stuff, because they have their own set algorithm that puts something there by default. But again, as we all know, your recipients can override that default. So if you start sending emails and people really like them, they have the option to take your emails and say, I want this email to go straight to my inbox. Okay, so they still have control over it. Now, the last thing is sometimes people will use like Outlook or Mac Mail, and Outlook and Mac Mail also have spam filters. Okay, there's like 100 different levels of spam filters. Okay, so your email has to get through the Outlook or Mac Mail spam filter, and then has to get through the Outlook or Mac Mail filter rules that they have set up on their computer. Right, so there's so many different pieces. Again, everything is controlled by the user, but there's so many different steps that these people have to go through before they actually get access to the email that you're sending. Then finally, at long last, the email, if it makes it past all those things, it ends up in the inbox, right? This is all very important to know. Here's a little graphic that I made that helps to kind of see the journey, right? So we start up at the upper left, and this is where you start. And the green is what Infusionsoft controls, right? All the orange is basically places that your email could get stuck. The gray is different steps in the process, and then the red is all the opportunities for it to get sent to like a junk mail or something, right? So we make the email, we process the email. Infusionsoft goes to the server and says, hey, I want to send this email. If it's blacklisted, then you go to the email gets rejected altogether. It bounces essentially. If not, receiving server grabs it, then it checks it from a spam filter. Is it spam? If it's not, if it is spam, it goes to junk. If it's not spam, then it goes to an engagement filter. Is the recipient engaged with your domain, your email address? If not, straight to junk. If so, then it goes to the mailbox. Then we're looking through the server level spam filters for the recipient. If it is junk, right, spam, you can see this whole process, right? Down here, is there a filter? If so, it's going to go to the filter. If not, it's going to go to the client, which is Outlook or Mac Mail. Then the client's going to have a spam filter. Does it think it's spam? If so, it goes to the spam filter or straight to junk. If it's not spam, then there's other filter rules. If it doesn't meet any of the filter criteria, then it ends up in the inbox. All right. So it's a bit of a journey. It's not unlike Frodo and what's his bones traveling to Mordor with the ring. I mean, seriously, there's lots of stuff that could happen along the way. Oh man, I just spilled water all over myself. It's too bad you guys couldn't see it on the video. So again, what I want to point out here is that this is the important thing to realize from this little diagram is the content that you create is important. Okay, probably the single most important thing. But there are some little tricks that you can do to help to warm up your audience to get more emails into the inbox. For example, if you notice there's a lot of these places along the line where you've got these engagement filters. Okay. What that means is the more engaged you can get your audience, meaning the more you focus on getting them to do something with the email, click a link, forward it, whatever, share it on Facebook, the more likely your email is to get opened or seen by other people. So again, not only are you writing good content that people want to read, but are you writing content that drives people to some sort of call to action? Are you trying to get someone to do something? And it's got to be something simple, obviously, right? So that they'll actually do it, because it doesn't help you. It doesn't help you to just ask people to do things, right? People have to actually do things. So sometimes it's as simple as, hey, saw this video, it was funny. And it's got to actually be funny. But if you get a bunch of people actually opening and clicking an email, if you get people engaged in what you're doing, that can help your email be seen by more people. Whereas if you take the opposite approach and you try and just be super salesy all the time, and every link you send out is a link to a sales page, you're going to get diminishing returns on people even opening the emails, even seeing the emails. Okay, so this speaks very directly to what Frank Kern used to talk about all the time, which is you got to put good content out there. You got to put goodwill out into the marketplace. Sometimes that means putting out free content, right? Because the free content, not only is it going to benefit your subscribers and people that are reading the emails, it's going to benefit you because now more people are actually opening your emails and they're reading your emails. So I think it's important to keep that in mind. So one, write good content. Two, make sure people are actually opening your emails. And then number three, pick an email address and always send from the same email address. Right. So if for example, I'm Brett@Wunntee.com, I would send it from Brett@Wunntee.com always. Because that becomes you start to build this reputation. Email deliverability is kind of like credit, in that if you don't have credit, like if you don't have a credit history, it's bad credit. No credit is bad credit. Whereas if you start to build up a history of people responding to your emails, opening your emails, forwarding your emails, and actually reading the stuff that you're sending, you have a much higher likelihood in the future of that being opened up to other people. All right. So that is my little presentation. Hope you liked it. That is designed mostly for people to wait. Infinity. Stop. Okay. That is designed mostly for people to just have a good understanding of let's see, sorry. Just have a better understanding of how email works, because the base underlying foundation of what we're doing in Infusionsoft is sending emails. So you have to understand how it works so you can get them delivered, because that's the whole thing that we're trying to do. Okay. And when you have that basic understanding of the way that the emails actually work when you're sending them, then that puts you in a better position to be more effective with the emails that you're sending when you actually do send them. All right. Okay, so one more thing that I want to talk about. I'm going to jump into Infusionsoft and dive in and talk about some more basic things. We've started sort of with email basics, and I want to go into setting up Infusionsoft basics. Just things that you should keep in mind when you're setting things up. There are a lot of people out there that will give you these wide sweeping rules about you must do Infusionsoft this way, or you must set up your tags this way. And while I think that they're coming from a good place, they're thinking, they're approaching it from the right direction. One thing that happens is you can kind of get stuck. Like, I'm all about what's you're actually going to do. So I understand that there's the best way to do things. And then I also understand that there's the practical way to do things. There's the way that you're actually going to use. And I'm more interested in you getting to the practical level and then graduating to the best level than trying to send you straight to the best level. Now, if the practical level for you is the best level, meaning you're never going to graduate to the best level, or you would rather just do it right from the beginning, that's totally fine. And I'll never knock on anybody's system, because most people's systems, it makes sense. Like, they have a system and they've designed it and it makes sense for their purposes. But I think it's important to just understand that you need a system more so than you need a particular system, right? Okay, so let's flip the screen back on. Let's see if I can do this again. We'll go back to infinity. All right. What is this? So I have this screen sharing and then I have this present to everyone. I don't know if that means that I haven't been presenting to everyone, or I'm just going to click it and we're going to see what happens because I don't have any idea. Okay, so let's jump into Infusionsoft. This is my personal Infusionsoft account. I got some stuff in here. My dashboard's not super pretty, but that's mostly because I'm not doing much in it, if I'm being perfectly honest. But I want to talk to you in just at a basic level about Infusionsoft and about the way sort of that I set things up, the way that I approach Infusionsoft when I set things up, so that when you go to set things up, you're approaching it correctly. So the very first thing I think that you need to understand about Infusionsoft is that there are way more buttons and knobs than you need to worry about. Okay, it's kind of like when you get into a car. There's buttons and knobs that control the stereo and the AC and like the windows and the seat and all these different things. But the stuff you need to be concerned about is the gas and the brake and the steering wheel. Okay, and then like the shifter, obviously. Put it in gear and then gas, brake. So I want to point out the pieces of this I think that are the gas, brake, and steering wheel stuff to start with. I want to talk a little bit about tagging. I want to talk about organization of campaigns, and then we'll go to questions and we'll make it more of a discussion from there. So first thing to understand is you're only as good as the reports that you have about what you're doing, right? So you're only as good as the data you have about the system that you're actually doing. So it's important that when you're building, you build with the report in mind. So anything that you do in Infusionsoft, remember, you're going to have to get data out of Infusionsoft about it. And we all know, anybody who's been around Infusionsoft for longer than 5 minutes knows that they don't have the greatest reporting. Okay. And that bad thing, good thing, whatever it is what it is. Their reporting is getting better, but it's not great. Okay. So when you're building, you have to take that into consideration from the get-go, because the worst thing that can happen, I'm going to turn my camera back on because I want to explain this. This is something I have to explain with my hands. Stop. Okay. Sometimes in Infusionsoft, I can't tell you how many times this has happened to me. You're say my hands are like two mountains, right? So you're climbing a mountain. There's a mountain on both sides, right? You're starting down here and you're trying to get here to the top of this mountain. So what happens is you'll build and build and build and build and climb and climb and climb and climb and climb and do all this work and get here, and realize that where you need to go is over here. And in order for you to get here, you could try and jump across, but it's too far. You'll end up falling to your death and dying. So what you have to do is go all the way back down, undo everything you just did, climb all the way back around and come up the other side to get to what you're trying to do. And that's happened to me so many times. I can see Danielle smiling back there because she knows what's going on. That is exactly what happens. It happens all the time. And that's happened to me countless times. I've wasted literally weeks of my life on traveling back around. And a lot of that could have been, and probably would have been, avoided if I had approached building an Infusionsoft from the back, like in reverse. What do I want this to tell me? What do I need to know about this thing that I'm about to build? And then jump in and start building things and build from there. That way, when you go to get the numbers, you know exactly what numbers you want to get. Okay. And if you're a consultant, that's why it's so important for consultants to be able to communicate with their customers and with their clients effectively. Because if you're a consultant and you can't get out of your customer what they want and what numbers they want to see, you're going to build the whole thing and they're going to say, oh, cool, this is awesome. Can you tell me this number? And you're going to be like, crap. I built the whole thing this one way and I can't get that number because I've used a different report in this whole thing that way, right? So it's important I'm beating a dead horse here, but the point here is it's important to build with the end in mind, build with the reporting in mind, okay? So that's step one. Now, the way that I do that, the way that I build with the end in mind is by using my tags, okay? Now, I come from a very particular school of thought around tagging, and it comes from my both my physical genealogy and my metaphorical Infusionsoft genealogy, because it happens to be the same person. Being a Martineau and being so closely related to Brad, I employ the 6 division tagging methodology, and I would highly recommend that you check it out. You'd go check out their Academy product. In fact, I'll tell you right now, the best $2,500 or $3,500 or however much it is, it doesn't matter how much they're charging you for it. You could pay 5, you could pay 10, and it would be worth it. The best money that you'll spend in Infusionsoft training is the 6th Division Academy. In fact, call them up and just say, I want to buy the Academy. In fact, I'm a little bit annoyed with them right now because they won't like sell it. They won't market it and just sell it straight up. They're trying to put it as a package on part of their service offerings and yada, yada, yada. And I've told them 1,000 times, if you would just teach people how to tag and then sell Academy, like do a webinar and teach people how to tag and then sell Academy, you would sell so many of them. But anyway, it's so I'm going to take you through that methodology. I'm not going to go into specifics because that's not really my thing, and it's there. They have the IP on it, so I'll let them do that. But I want to point out some things to you about the system so that you can get kind of an idea. Now, when I build with tags, I'm building so that I can pull reports later. And the easiest way to pull reports, in my opinion, is tags. And the reason why is because on most searches, if you go to opportunity search, if you go to order reports, you go to all these different places, so many of these reports have tags on them. So you can always sort by people that are tagged a certain way, which is why I like to use tags. Okay. So, so the tags that I'll use will be set up for different functions. Okay. So I'll just give you kind of the basic idea. Tags in Infusionsoft, if I go like to a campaign, for example, I'll go to a webinar. No, I don't want to do that one. We'll go to, here we go. This is one that I did. Okay. So tags in here, you can see tags, we use tags for starting and stopping sequences. We use them as goals, right? We also use them for reporting. So I'll use a tag to say, oh, this is where I am in this process. I want to know, for example, when I set up a campaign, I want to know first and foremost, who is where? How many people are at this part? How many people are at this part? How many people are here? How many people are here, right? How many people are at each juncture? How many people are sitting in each campaign? Okay, that's the first thing I want to know. The second thing I want to know is how many people have been at each of these junctures. And if I want to get fancy and technical, I want to know when they were there. So I want to know for the last week, how many people went through this first sequence versus went through the second and third, right? I want to see how people are converting through the sequences and moving forward that way. And then when we get into purchases and things like that, I want to know where people are going. Okay. Now, I also will use, like I said, I'll use these tags for starting and stopping goals. Now, those 3 different types of tags, to me, those are different classes of tags. Those are different, like they have different purposes, right? One is to start and stop a sequence. One tells me where somebody is in a campaign, but they're not always going to be there. So I need to add and remove those. And then one is going to tell me where somebody's been. That would be a tag that always stays. So what I like to do at its very basic level, what I like to do is add people add tags into those 3 different categories. So if I go to my marketing settings, or I mean my CRM settings, I know how to get around Infusionsoft. I promise. I go to my CRM settings. You'll notice I have different categories here. Okay. Now I have several. I actually have 5 different categories that I'm using. Again, that's the 6th Division methodology, and I encourage you to go look it up and get a hold of that training because it will blow your mind. But at its basic level, what I would recommend to somebody is set up 3 tag categories. One would be status, right? 2 would be history or reporting, and then 3 would be like a system tag. Okay, my phone thought I just talked to it. Both of them did. When I said history, they thought I was saying, "Hey Siri." Oh no, it didn't work. Okay. So those three, and then I'll use, when I set up those tags, I'm setting up tags so that I understand every particular part of the campaign. So let me go back to that campaign I was just on. And we'll go back to this webinar here. Now in this campaign, this is a pretty simple campaign, but I want to understand when I open this campaign, I want to know everything there is to know about what could happen in this campaign. That's everything from where somebody is, like I mentioned before, where they have been. I also want to know where they came from. So if I have different like registration forms or different opt-in forms for this, or if I have different lead sources. Maybe I have doing Facebook lead ads, and then I'm doing for example, here's a great one right now. I'm for this call that you're on right now. I have 2 lead sources. One is Facebook lead ads from a web ad on Facebook, which is going through Zapier or Zapier or however you pronounce it. I still don't know. It's been 4 years since they came out, and I still don't know how to pronounce it. That is just applying a tag straight here. And there's also, that you may have seen that I posted today, there's also just a regular landing page with Infusionsoft where you can register. Now, the landing page is getting a different tag applied. Not that one. This is a tag that's specific to people who fill out the form. Okay. And then the people who fill out this is the landing page form. People who fill out the Facebook lead form get a different tag, because I want to know, okay, how many of the people that are coming through are coming from an organic post that I did on my Facebook page, driving them to a landing page in Infusionsoft, versus how many people are signing up from Facebook leads. And right now, Facebook leads is winning by about 1,000%. I think I have 1 registration from the form and 9 from the other. We can go check the little handy dandy dashboard widget that showed up here. Yeah, 1 to 8. Okay. And that might not be completely accurate, because I think this is handling both of those. But anyway, the point is, I want to get very specific, and I might, in a bigger campaign, a more complex campaign, I might go so far as to say, I want to know which link they clicked on when they clicked to a video. Did they click a text link, or did they click a link like an image of the video? Because I want to know what's more effective. That I might want to know that. I might not care, right? So you have to know what's important to you, and again, what are the numbers that you want to see from the campaign, and then that's how you build the campaign from the bottom up. Okay. So that's kind of tagging. One other thing I'll say about tagging is it's important when you name your tags. It's important to be specific in the naming convention and be consistent. Okay. Because there's nothing more annoying than setting up a bunch of tags and building them willy-nilly because you're on the fly and you don't have as much time, and then trying to go back and organize those tags is the worst. Okay. So go and be specific in the way that you create tags. Now, again, another plug for 6th Division, and I promise I'm not getting paid by them. I just happen to really like what they're doing. One other plug that I'll give you for 6th Division is they have a tool that will do it for you, and their tool will build the dashboard for you completely, and it will give you historical stats, right? So you can see here for the Wunntee Weeklies, I might actually be logged out, so I might have to log back in. Yeah, let me log in real quick and I'll show you this. I should be getting money from them for all the freaking registration or the whatever I do for them. All right, so we got people registered here. That's just showing. Oh, I guess it's not showing me profile data. But so we've got all this information about what's happening, and the tagger, literally, you create your tags by just filling in. Okay, what's the first status? What's the second status? What's the third status? Where do they end? If somebody doesn't show up, doesn't do what you want, where are they exiting? What profile information, right? Go and buy the Academy, get access to this. It's worth whatever they're charging you monthly to get access to this. I promise you, it's worth every penny, every single one. And guess what? You want to know something that's even cooler? I go back to the dashboard. You might think, oh, that's cool. It can create tags, but what if I need to change them? Oh, what? You can change them on the fly from here, and it will go into your Infusionsoft account and change the tags for you. You don't have to mess with tags in Infusionsoft at all. Have I convinced you yet? You need to go sign up for this immediately. Okay, one last thing that I want to point out in Infusionsoft. One thing, it's a campaign strategy. Well, 2 things. I want to talk about organization of campaigns, like the way that you build them, and then one other thing I want to talk about, and then I'll go to questions, and we'll kind of go from there. So the next thing that I want to talk about is the organization of the campaign. So there's different schools of thought as to how big a campaign should be in terms of like canvas size. Okay. So let me show you this one. This is one of the bigger ones. Some campaigns can get pretty big, pretty long, right? And I've seen some campaigns, and I bless all of your hearts. I've seen some of you post pictures of your massive spiderweb, Spider-Man campaigns that you're putting up. It looks like the Starship Enterprise some of the time. And I got to tell you 2 things. Number one, Yes, it's pretty, and I will concede that it's pretty, but unfortunately, it's number one going to be nearly impossible for you to support, and number two, the campaign itself, the campaign canvas, is not designed to be used that heavily. The individual campaign canvas. Okay, it's better for you to chunk down your campaigns into smaller pieces and approach it that way. Okay, so what I like to do is a campaign has a clear beginning and a clear end. So, for example, an automated webinar, they register for the webinar. The clear end is they buy. Okay, an auto launch, like an automated launch service, an automated launch campaign. They register, they sign up, they buy, right? That's a pretty clear process. They start, they register, they click videos, whatever they do. Then whatever the end goal is, for me it was setting appointment, for you it might be buying, whatever it is. There's a clear end goal. You're trying to get them to buy. Then you start a new campaign for a new sort of method of doing that. So for example, if you've got an automated launch and you've got an automated webinar, those would be two separate campaigns. And it might be that after the automated launch, you'll drive them directly into the automated webinar as like a follow-up campaign. But you want to make sure that you have them separated. You want to keep them separated, like that band from the 90s, right? So that's the first thing. You want to keep things small. You want to keep things organized, and you want to make sure again that your naming convention follows you into your campaigns. And then don't create too many campaigns. Just keep it organized, keep it pretty, keep it nice, because you're going to waste so much time and energy trying to find what you did if you don't just take 2 seconds now and set it up correctly. I'll pause for a moment just to give you. Brad used to say, and I'm only quoting him because he's the one who said it, not because he's like the best and he's the only one to quote, although he is pretty good. He used to always say, you want to put things away so that it's easier to take them out again, not put things away so that it's easier to put them away. Right? When you're putting groceries away, you want to organize them so that it's going to be easier for you to find what you want later. You don't want to just throw all your groceries into the fridge or into the cupboard, right? Because then it's going to be impossible for you to get it out. It doesn't make any sense for you to do it that way. Same thing in Infusionsoft. Take 2 extra seconds and set it up right, name it right, and then you'll be fine. You might only have 10 campaigns or 8 campaigns like I do, and this looks pretty simple, but when I get to having 200 campaigns, and this is 3 pages long, and I've got all these campaigns set up like this: Alacrity, Goodwill, Test, Canvas, Weeklies, and they're not in order, set up, organized. It's a nightmare. And I can tell you that's a truth because I worked in Frank Kern's app, and it was a nightmare. Okay, so last thing quickly, I'm going to jump into a campaign here, and I want to talk to you about spacing and contingencies. These are a couple of things. Spacing is a 6 division thing. Something that I keep around from my 6 division days, and then contingency is something that I picked up from Frank. That's super, super important. So first thing is, when you build an Infusionsoft, you want to have a conservative, and you don't want to use too much space because you might need to add more things, and it's going to be better on your brain. This is scientific. It's better on your brain if things follow straight lines, and if it's not about trying to be artsy. It's about trying to be logical, because these are just logical steps. All right. So you'll see here, there's a very specific spacing structure that I have here, and I use it every single time because I want to know this first line. This is all of my, they say yes, they say yes, they say yes, they say yes all the way through. Right. The second line is, oh, they said no somewhere. Where did they say no? I want to be able to know that. And if there's another option here, like for example, if there's a webinar, I don't actually know if I have it set up in any of these webinars, but oh, I don't. Some instances, there's webinars where you'll have different checkpoints, like a re-register. So you'll have yes, yes, yes. And then even here, maybe there's another option here where they can re-register. So there might be another no, right? But you'll notice all the no's drop down to the bottom. And that actually leads me into the thing I wanted to say about contingencies, which is anytime you have a goal, anytime ever that you, here, let me find a good one here. We'll go to, what was I just in here? We'll go to this one. Anytime there's a goal at the end of a sequence, no matter what you're doing, anytime, like here's a sequence, there's a goal at the end of it. Anytime there's a goal at the end of it, there should be a contingency sequence at the bottom. And what this does is it will catch all of the people that are in this sequence that don't take this action, and it'll put them down here. I like to tag them differently, and then I like to drop them into another campaign, right? And at any point, no matter where they are, right? Launch, everything, any place you're at down here, whatever's going on, you want to have that contingency so that when somebody, John will be joining us next week. John is a good friend. When somebody hits the end of this sequence, if they haven't taken the action you want to do something with them. You can't have a dead sequence, because otherwise they'll just sit there and they won't do anything. So drop into another campaign, give them some more emails, whatever it is you're going to do, make sure that you're actually taking care of them this way. All right. Okay, so those are some of the basics, some super, super basic tips and things that I think are really important. This is so trippy. I love it. Some things that I think are really important to deal with in the Infusionsoft space and in Infusionsoft and the technology itself. I think what I want to do now is go ahead and actually, you know what? Hang on for just 1 second. I'm going to see if I can't get a couple more people on. We'll see if we can get John on here. Because he always has good stuff to talk about. Let's see, I need to go to this thing and then this thing. That way we'll have, you and I are going to have a good conversation, Michelle. Don't worry. But we just got to I want to get John on here too. Okay. Okay, so Michelle, where's my thing? Here we go. I'm going to come over and unmute you if that's all right, and let's just see. I don't know if you have any questions.
We just need the email on
that. But let's go through and see if we can't get some. The nice thing too about questions. Oh, sweet, we got John. The nice thing too about questions is that they'll benefit not just you.
What time is he rescheduling for on Monday?
Who happens to listen?
Did he reschedule already, or is he going to?
So I think that's going to be super important.
Absolutely. Okay. You're breaking up a little bit.
Oh, I am?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see if I can't. Let's close some of these extraneous windows here and see if that helps.
Those were quite fun windows, so when you would switch going into the labyrinth.
Maybe we'll just do that for the rest of the time. And,
yeah.
All right. So why don't you just give us a kind of a general overview of what you guys are trying to do. What your strategy is, what you're trying to do as far as what you're setting up, those different types of things, and then
sure.
Let's talk through any things that, if there's anything that you know off the top of your head you need some help with. I'm happy to lend any expertise I have. Maybe John's got something he wants to say. What up, John? And then we'll flip over and we'll let John talk for a little bit. Not too long though.
Sure. We're just building out our program right now. So Danny has been doing it since 2011, working with Infusionsoft Consulting and that. And what my specialty is more with copywriting. So that's how we're changing up what our offers are, and doing some training as well on that, and doing the one-on-one consulting. So we're just building that out right now because I only just started full-time in this world July 15th.
Right.
So I'm not Infusionsoft certified, but Danny is teaching me Infusionsoft, and I'm doing her existing training and playing around with it quite a bit. So
actually, what might be interesting is it's not very often we get someone that's so fresh to Infusionsoft.
Yeah.
So it might be interesting to get your initial takes, initial frustrations, initial things that you really like about the software. Kind of let's just kind of go through some of those, and then we can. I'm sure John and I will.
Well, I really like, because I've dabbled with online world before and created websites, but had no idea what I was doing, and so what I like about Infusionsoft is that it gives you a visual way of seeing what is actually happening to get the information to people.
Yeah.
And to understand that makes it so much easier for me also to write it, because it helps me understand how that
Yeah,
message is
I'm gonna
getting
call
to
in from
the
my phone.
customer,
I'll be right back.
as well as anybody who's like reading the websites or whatever, like to understand how they're seeing it from that side and how that happens, how that information gets to them, really helps me to understand it better.
Yeah, I think that speaks back to what we were talking about earlier about when you understand the end, it helps set up from the beginning, right? When you know
Absolutely.
what the end goal is, when you know what's actually happening, it makes
Yeah.
it easy for you to
Yeah.
do the initial stuff. So that's cool. Well, that's fun. I'm excited. I'm sure as we continue on with these, that there will be things we can help with. I think the more people we get on, the more we can help with specific things. I know you have a resource, and actually we're excited to get Danielle on. And have a lot of her expertise be shared as well, because she's
she'll be on next week.
Yeah, it'll be good times.
Yeah.
So we're excited about that, and we're excited just to see everything grow and see you guys do well. Doing so, I think that'll be awesome. So were there any? Did you have any? As I was going through, was there any questions that came up? Anything that you wanted to take a look at?
No, I didn't have any questions. I played around with it a lot, and it's just the, like, I really liked how you talked about the putting the categories and naming the campaigns in a way that makes sense. Because I mean, I've worked beside Danny when she's opening apps, and they're like insane amount of campaigns, and how anybody ever finds anything. And I'm very process driven and very analytical. I come from an administration background, and I managed an admin team in an IT department, and it made me crazy that processes were not outlined, and people had no idea. People were just making it up as they went along.
Yep.
And Infusionsoft provides this very tangible way of making it happen.
Yep.
You just have to figure it out.
Artsy creative types and put them in charge of technology. Is it just
It
looks like their bedroom, right?
Yeah.
It looks like their office. It's just got stuff. I've seen all these articles going through Facebook about, like, if your office is messy, you're probably actually really smart. And it's like, yeah, I mean, but on the other hand, it's like, but it's got to be organized. There's got to be a system.
I love that quote that you said about so it's easier to get it out after. So put it away in the first place. Yes. I would really like my stepdaughters to learn that one.
Yeah, he tells that story because that's what he would tell to his kids. He'd be like, you put stuff away in the kitchen or in the bathroom, whatever. You don't just jam it all into the drawers.
Yeah.
Put it away so that when we go to get it out again, everything's not gonna fall apart.
Yeah.
So,
for sure.
Awesome. Well, good. We're excited to get more from you guys. I'm gonna put you on mute just because I know there's some background noise going on. If you have anything, just sort of wave your hand so I can see you down there, and we'll talk. We'll bring you back in. We're excited to have you on. All right, my man Johnny.
How's it going, man?
Good. How are you? Long time.
All right. Yeah. See my messy room, right?
Yeah, exactly. This is one of those creative types.
I'm a freaking genius.
Except you're one of the few creative types that I think has that. You're like me in that you have that very technical streak, and you have a tendency. I think that you're probably one of those that's more likely to stick to a system, even in the chaos.
Oh yeah.
Keeps you going.
Gotta have processes.
Nice.
Otherwise,
Did you have a chance? Did you get to see? I know I threw the invite at you like 1 minute before I started. Did you see the stuff that I talked about?
Say that again. Did I see what?
Any of the stuff that I was talking about before?
No.
Okay, good. So you're fresh.
I've been offline all day, so until I just sat down and saw your message.
Oh, nice. So I've called you in from the netherworlds of not being offline and brought you to the correct place, which is here.
There you go.
I actually would be really interested to. So for those of you that don't know John, John and I met. It's been 5-6 years now. Long time ago. John is like he's a technical. Like it's on another level when it comes to like bringing things together, technologies together. I mean, I think I'm good, and then there's John right over on the top.
Yeah, except you're one of my two go-to guys if I ever get stuck. So.
Well, you know
you know who the other one is.
Yeah. Well, you know. What I would like, if possible, John. I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but what I think would be interesting is, what are some things when you're building an Infusionsoft for yourself or for somebody else? What are some things that you try and where do you start from? So when I talked with everybody, I talked about making sure that when you build an Infusionsoft that you're starting from the reporting, making sure you build the reporting into the build that you're doing, making sure you're organized, right? I basically just regurgitated a lot of 6 division stuff. I came up with it, most of it.
Yeah,
So
works.
I helped. Sorry, Brad. I helped come up with most of it, so it's kind of mine anyway. But I wanted to get your take and just see what types of things you like to do.
All right, so I didn't have this prop here just for this. It's actually here because I use it all the time. It's very clean at the moment, but
Yeah.
you got to start here. Map it out, map it out, map it out. And this is really too small to do the job unless you have a really fine point dry erase marker, or make the mistake of using a Sharpie, which I've done on numerous occasions. But yeah, get the biggest whiteboard that you can get and map it out. I mean, we've done out here. We've got a group called Corporate Alliance, and you rent space, and they've got these rooms that are, it's about 20 feet long whiteboard, floor to ceiling, and my clients still come back and talk about how they remember that moment of like seeing it all laid out. And it's hard to lay it out sometimes because you've got campaigns they're not two-dimensional. There's some depth to them. It seems a little strange to think about, but then you've got multiple flows that go through in different directions. But it's really the best place to start, and that's something I learned. You talked about my creative side. I do have a degree in the arts, one of my degrees, and the best thing I learned there was always start on paper. Don't start in, if you're going to do something in illustration, don't start in Illustrator. Don't start in Photoshop because you're limited by the tools. So don't let the tools limit what you're doing. And I'll be the first to say I have a love-hate relationship with Infusionsoft, and I have since the beginning. There's so many things that I want it to do or do better, and it doesn't. And so, but that's why you have things like, plus this and fix your funnel and those kind of things to do those things. But so the other thing is, as soon as you put it on the whiteboard or even before, learn what the capabilities are of the tools you have, because there's going to be some things out there where you're not thinking about text messaging in your marketing or having that level of communication that some of those tools can really allow.
Right.
So make sure you know what the capabilities of those tools are.
I think that's a really good point. I think that's something that gets overlooked. Because a lot of times we talk about organization, we talk about map it out first, but sometimes I know I've probably been guilty of this myself. Sometimes we can think, don't worry about the technology, build it out how you want it to on paper, and then go do it. But you're right. Sometimes if you don't understand what's possible, you can shortchange yourself. Because don't be limited by the tool when you're designing it. Don't be limited by a lack of understanding of the tool in your design.
That's right.
So you're on a whiteboard or on paper or whatever you're doing. Make sure you understand what's possible, because you might be able to do things that you didn't think were possible. But if you didn't do the
think about somebody who I mean, just about all of us started somewhere like MailChimp or MyEmma or one of those email marketing tools. We've all used those. And so if that's where your mindset is trained to be, that's what you're going to think about as far as using. So basically, a lot of people use Infusionsoft as a glorified MailChimp.
Yeah.
And they really don't do much more of use the capabilities of it because they're not thinking about that third dimension.
Right.
Dynamic campaigns that with decision diamonds, and it's just not thinking about it.
Right. That is a very good point. And by the way, I want to point at the very beginning of this video, I said specifically I wanted this to be an open forum, and I wanted people to be honest about their feelings about Infusionsoft. And I said specifically that just last week I told Clayt to his face, you won't find a bigger supporter of Infusionsoft, but you also won't find a bigger critic of Infusionsoft than me.
That's right.
I think it's true. I think the more that we're talking about things that we like and things that we don't like, it's not like anybody's. It's not like it's really that big of a deal. Like, it's not like we're changing anything. We're not really complaining. We're just talking about things that we want, things that we think could change, things that we think could be better. Mostly because we are invested in the community.
Right.
We could just go to some other system, but because Infusionsoft is so powerful and because it's so amazing, and it does so many of the things that we want it to do, and because there are plugins that make up for the things that it doesn't do that we want it to do, we stick around because we like it and we like the community and we like what it stands for. And so I think it's going to be good for us to be honest about that. But I think those are very good points.
Yeah.
I think that dovetails perfectly into what I was saying about planning. You talk about planning, you talk about doing whiteboarding things out first, and I'm talking about thinking with the end in mind. So if you think about with the end in mind when you build, when you're designing the campaign, you can think, oh, okay, here's the numbers that I want to get because it's graphically right there in front of you. and then you can kind of go from there. So I think that's incredibly powerful. So
And your brother, let me just say this real quick. Your brother, a long time ago, on stage one time at Infusion Con, said something that really caught with me. It was the I forget how he worded it. I won't be as good at wording as he does, but we do and they do. He had a little PDF chart.
I do.
They do this and then we do this. So mapping out the campaign. So if you think about a campaign as a funnel that goes through, they're always wanting, like herding cats, wanting to leave the funnel.
Yep.
And so if they do this, if they do all these things we want them to do, great. But if they do this, what do we do to give them that opportunity to make it easy for them to get back, into the flock?
Yep.
And so that's a great way to think about, as far as how to handle, especially from a beginner, how to handle Infusionsoft and thinking about the flow there.
Totally, yeah. I remember how I remember looking at it. I was there. This is the first one that he did. I don't remember. He did it like 3 times, but the first one he did, nobody had ever done a presentation like that before.
Right.
And when he got up and he was like, "It's this simple." I remember him turning to the audience and saying, "This is really easy sounding, right?" And everybody was like, "Yeah." He was like, "But it's awesome, right?" And they were like, "Yeah." Everybody was like, the whole room was just like buzzing. And I remember after when he was done, like, people were freaking out. They were like, everyone was standing up and running to the back. No, I want to sign up. All this stuff.
Yeah, they were running to the back of the room with their credit cards out before he even topped the price. Before the price came out, they were running to the back of the room.
Exactly. It was insane. And the crazy part is he still, even though they were already standing up before the price, he could have literally made up any price. That's a whole other story. We'll talk about pricing structure and strategy later. But anyway, that's fun. So what? We don't have a whole lot of time. I don't want to keep everybody on forever. But what are you working on now? What can I help you with?
Okay.
Get some background noise.
So what are we looking at now?
Oh, sorry. Hang on, Michelle. I think you came unmuted. You're good. Yeah. So what are you working on, John? What can we help you with?
I'm just plugging through a bunch of campaigns. I got a new client that I'm really excited about. I may have mentioned her to you. Her name's Sophie Gray.
Yeah, you did.
I didn't realize how well known she was, but she had been doing, I can't think of his name, the affiliate marketing guy. He publishes his monthly income statements to everybody, and Pat Flynn.
Oh yeah.
So she had been a Pat Flynn guy, but Pat Flynn, I don't think his stuff is as cobbled together as he teaches people to do. So her stuff was so unautomated, and customers would sign up for a monthly thing and never hear from her again. At least not about the monthly thing. They'd hear stuff in Instagram, but it was poorly managed, and it became a nightmare for her. After she had I think she's almost at 500,000 Instagram followers, and just crazy level of engagement. So she reached out, and so I'm helping her building up Infusionsoft from the ground up, which is so much better than fixing somebody else's broken stuff.
Right.
So it's a lot. I'm having a lot of fun with that. I don't really have any questions or anything I need, but I always ask when when I have a question.
Well, now you have a weekly outlet for your questions.
There we go.
You can get to them. You can ask them. You can do whatever you want. That's cool. I'm excited for these things to keep going. I was talking with Danielle and Michelle. This is kind of going to be like a low key Infusionsoft mastermind.
I like it.
Like a free mastermind, and it'll be free for now. It'll be free for always. I'm really excited about getting back into communication with the community, getting more connected with the community for myself personally, and I think everybody else that gets on these, I think, is going to find benefit in that. I'm going to do a little thanks, by the way, for John and Michelle for jumping on, and Danielle in the back. I'm going to mute you guys and do a little outro, so stick around for that, and then we're gonna call it quits for today. But we'll be back again next week, same time, same place. I'll post a link in the Facebook group. Share this, by the way, with people you know that it might benefit from this, so we can get as many people on. This helps me because I get to have people on my list that I probably won't ever email, but I get to have them. Plus, I get to talk to more people, which is good for my ego because it's a big one. And the more people I can talk to and be in front of, the happier I am. But it'll help, I think, everybody. It helps everybody gets helped by more people being on here because we get more questions, we get more comments, we get more expertise, we get more things that we talk about. So thanks everybody for coming. I'm super excited about continuing to do this. I think that in the future we'll keep the same sort of format. We'll keep talking about good things in Infusionsoft. I think that it's going to be really interesting for us to see how this grows and how the stuff that we can build from this is going to happen. I think I'm all about sort of peeling back the layers of mysticism around marketing and around the people in the marketing space. And I don't want anybody out there to think, oh, I can't get on and seem vulnerable and ask questions and go to people and ask questions of people that I may think are not as smart as I am or not as good at marketing as I am, because this is a place for us to come together and everybody grows together. So when I get on and I ask people things like, what can I help you with? It's not that I think I'm smarter than you. It's that I have a particular skill set, and if I can help you, I want to. So jump on. If you have questions, let's ask them. I may not be able to answer them, but if the more people we get on, the more answers we possibly could get, which I think is going to be super important. And lastly, I think this is going to be a community. What I want to build this into is a community just of people who are dedicated to building the community itself, the Infusionsoft community, to bolstering it up, making it more of a place where we share information and we help each other, but also a place where content sort of flows back and forth. I'm not super excited about the idea of keeping all this expertise behind a paywall, trying to build. There's a lot of these sort of info products that get put out that are great and that are good, and I'm all about sending people to pay for those different types of things. But there are the things that I think everybody can benefit from, everybody learning more about everything. So let's share the information, let's share what we're doing, let's share the strategies that we've used that are helpful, and let's make, this is going to sound so cheesy, so cheesy, but let's make the world a better place. Oh. Anyway, I'm excited. This is going to be fun. Thanks everybody for joining. We'll see you next week. Wunntee Weeklies on Wednesdays. I'm Brett. Peace out.